For everyone who doubted you tonight before this fight, what do you have to say to them?
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say to y'all. Y'all talk all about me. I'm a runner, I'm a track star. All I do is run. I stood in the pocket at times, I fought him at times, and I showed my grit. I don't want to hear nothing else.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live boxing ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live. Shakur Stevenson versus William Zepeda. What really happened? In this video, I'm going to take you through it and break down this fight and let you know indeed what really happened. Now, I'm often imitated, but never duplicated. Ever since I came out with this segment, it's been a hit with you guys. I'm going to continue to do them. There's a lot of imposters. You got to look for the boxing ego stamp on all my thumbnails so you know it's official and you know it is authentic. Also subscribe. Shout out to everybody who joined my watch party, sent a Cash App, a PayPal, a super thanks, a super chat. I got a ton of them, but I wasn't able to announce all of them live on air. So appreciate you guys. I will continue to work and put out the fire content. Now let's get into Stevenson, Zepeda, what really happened. Quick PSA disclaimer. There are certain fighters and certain fights, when I do these breakdowns, I give you my truest thoughts. They are my opinions. If you are not here for my opinion, scram. I'm telling you how I truly feel about the fight. I don't care about your feelings. I don't care if you agree. Oh man, I disagree. I don't care. Start your own YouTube channel and you get to talk about that. Go that away. I'm telling you how I feel. And I got to make that clear because some of you guys may not like what your boy Ego has to say. But without further ado, let the boy Ego cook. So, Shakur Stevenson. In my breakdowns, what really happened, I give you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly. I like to start off with the good a lot of times. The good, Shakur won the fight. He stays undefeated. Shakur Stevenson, another good thing, I guess you could say, is Shakur's recent performances against lesser fighters, lesser regarded fighters. Shakur was criticized heavily of running, not being exciting. I don't really hear many people complaining about the action from this fight. So that is good, you know, overall. But there's a big asterisk by it, and I'm going to talk about that in this video. But again, if you're not here for real commentary and real breakdown, then this is not the spot for you, because it is not going to be through a rose-colored set of lenses. I'm going to tell you how I really feel. Good for Shakur Stevenson. I think the spots where Shakur was on, he was really on. He looked surgical. His combination punching, he looked very sharp, very accurate. And for me, the fight was very competitive early. You can believe me, you can believe whoever, because there's some people like, oh, the fight wasn't competitive. There wasn't a competitive, whatever. It was a competitive fight, period. Competitive fight, but the adjustment that I did like from Shakur Stevenson is eventually, I think he settled into the fight and he owned the championship rounds. And in the latter rounds, for me, that's when Shakur Stevenson really tried to pull away. And he did. He showed separation really in the later rounds. And I like that because he was piecing up William Zepeda, some jaw-dropping, eye-catching shots. And I think the back half of the fight is what really stamped it for Shakur Stevenson. So in those moments, he was very sharp. Now, this was not a flawless performance from Shakur Stevenson. Some people are like, oh, he's the new Floyd Mayweather. Stop it. Floyd is Floyd. Shakur is Shakur. And I'm here to tell you, these new fighters, they don't even have the teachers or the mentality of those same fighters from past generations and yesteryear. I think the last generation that really truly embodies that is Crawford's generation. Crawford's 37 years old, so the guys that are like on the cusp of 40, you know. Shakur, he did the Philly shell, you know, so he tried his best Mayweather, but I hate the comparison. I feel like people really don't know boxing and they just go for low-hanging fruit. So Shakur is black, he's American, he has a bit of slickness and defense to his arsenal, and so does Floyd. He got in the Philly shell like Floyd, so people say, boom, I got it. Shakur fought like Floyd. I didn't really see that because Floyd had mastered the Philly shell. For me, especially early on, when Shakur was in the Philly shell, he was getting touched up with jabs all day, right? From a William Zepeda. And to me, he's not even really known as a jabber. He's more of a combination puncher, you know? He's not necessarily known for several straight punches. He's known for his body work and hooks more than his jab and straight punches, right? So that was concerning. Floyd Mayweather, in my opinion, this is why the people who are saying this, it don't make sense, because Floyd Mayweather would never get touched up like this by a William Zepeda at any moment of the fight. Point blank period. I firmly believe that, right? Floyd Mayweather fought better, more accomplished, seasoned people and didn't get touched up like this. Maidana, Oscar De La Hoya, I do believe, Canelo, right? Miguel Cotto. These guys had Floyd on the ropes and weren't touching him. Like, if you really go back and watch Floyd versus Cotto, Cotto really wasn't landing like that when Floyd was on the rope. And Floyd was very authoritative and viper-like and drop, and he was doing the catch and shoot. Shakur Stevenson, I ain't gonna front. There were some moments where he was doing the catch and shoot and he was looking crispy. But I'm just talking about in the totality. There were also moments where he was on, like, in the shell, you know, kind of doing the shoulder roll, and it wasn't super effective. So for me, this fight was a mixed bag, and it's more neutral to negative, and I'm gonna explain why for Shakur Stevenson's performance. Because in my opinion, Shakur Stevenson had been polarized by this whole Tom and Jerry, and I told you this stuff was dumb from the beginning. He got so consumed with Tom and Jerry and Is He a Runner? I mean, you heard him. He's cussing people out after the fight, like, F y'all. Y'all said I was a runner. Y'all said I was a ducker. Y'all said I can't fight toe to toe. That, to me, is not the right mentality for the sport of boxing. And the reason I say that is because you can get away with that versus some dudes, but other people, Shakur fighting how he fought would not be suitable, in my opinion, because that is not your true style. And I'm a big proponent and fan of authenticity. If you're a brawler, be that. Like, you can still work on your craft and, like, pick up better cardio so you can go more rounds, work on your body attack, work on a jab, you know, things like that. Maidana, when he got with Robert Garcia, he worked on his cardio, worked on his jab, stuff like that. You don't have to completely change as a fighter, but, you know, just change little aspects of your game, learn a couple new wrinkles. So it, to me, reeks of insecurity from Shakur Stevenson that he feels so compelled to answer the public. People are saying you're boring, you're a runner. They're probably not your friends. They're not your fans to begin with, because Shakur Stevenson doesn't, if you watch his fight, anybody who really respects boxing, you'll know Shakur Stevenson doesn't run. Like, people use the run to black and Cuban fighters mostly as it's almost like the new N-word, right? We can't beat you, we don't like you, so we're gonna call you names and try to, you know, hold you in contempt and slander you. That's pretty much what it means from the race fans. Point blank, period. Shakur, he's not running in his fights. Now, all of his fights haven't been this exciting, but he's not running. He's literally in front of you and he's managing distance, so he's not getting hit and touched up normally. So to me, I think he kind of fell into the trap and fell into the gap of trying to impress and please the critics. I just don't believe in that. If your style is effective but people don't like the way it looks, just deal with that criticism. You know what I mean? But it shows the level of insecurity that you let all that stuff get to you and change and alter the way you fight to the point where you more so fought William Zepeda's game. And in my opinion, everybody with the brain knew Shakur had more skills than William Zepeda. William Zepeda wasn't like this proven, long-standing champion. In fact, everything I'm saying now, for the record, I said before the fight, I don't even think he beat Tevin Farmer, and he got dropped. So just being honest, this wasn't like a world beater. They shouldn't have even put him in with Tevin Farmer because he didn't look great and he looked very vulnerable in both of those fights. And then he finally fights you. And if anything, the fact that I don't feel like his stock dropped enough based on this performance. If anything, it's just like, all right, a more experienced guy bested you. But it's not like he got embarrassed. Like, for example, what Hamza Shiraz did to Berlanga, now that's different. That's an embarrassment because it was pretty much one-sided and Berlanga had no answers for Hamza Shiraz. Shakur didn't really do that, you know, and I know the sternest, biggest Shakur fans, they're gonna get mad like, oh man, what do you mean? Shakur looked good out there. He looked cool. The other issue I have, the bad and the ugly, is Shakur Stevenson's pre-fight talk and banter never really truly lives up to the in-fight performance for me. Like, oh, belt to I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna destroy him, I'm gonna step. Now, he tried to in this particular fight, and he did stand his ground. He did fight a more dangerous fight, but I don't really condone a fighter doing all this extra stuff just to prove a point, because now the fans can say, oh man, Shakur Stevenson, he wasn't boring. He also showed more vulnerabilities in his game and took more punches than we're used to seeing him take. You know what I mean? So if anything, now other guys can maybe start figuring you out or get more confidence, because let's be real, William Zepeda to me wasn't a world beater. And I said that before the fight, so I didn't wait. I told you Shakur was gonna win. And some people are like, oh man, you hate Shakur, you're against Shakur. You dummies, I picked Shakur to win. I told you I hope he beats Zepeda down for all this Tom and Jerry stuff. The content is still up. So why would I hate Shakur or be mad? I'm just giving you my honest opinion. I think he fell into the trap of trying to please the crowd. And it's cool, it made for a more action fight, but it also, for me, it kind of hurt Shakur Stevenson, because the way you fought Zepeda, you're not beating Gervonta Davis like that, in my opinion. You took too many hits from a guy. See, and here's the thing. When I give my breakdowns, I always size up the competition based on what we know about the individuals. Like, I look at the stylistic matchup, this, that, and the third. So my commentary for Bivol fighting Better Biev is not going to be the same as Shakur fighting Zepeda. But the reason is, I think Better Biev is a better fighter than Zepeda. He has more wrinkles to his game. He could box and he has threatening power. So, of course, why would my commentary be the same when I think Bivol is in with the more dangerous guy that has boxing ability? I never thought that with William Zepeda. I didn't think he was this great boxer. I told you all, everybody who listened before the fight, Zepeda is one-dimensional, but you just have to be able to get through that dimension. That dimension is he's a southpaw. He's tough, durable, has heart, and he throws a lot of punches and volume. Me, that's what I've always said. So I feel like Shakur Stevenson, he did cool, but at the end of the day, he also looked more vulnerable. And you're like messing up your own stats, bro. Your plus and minus is the highest in boxing, but after this fight, I don't know. Maybe that changes, or either way, it's going to take you down, because Zepeda was doing pretty solid for the first half of the fight. He was doing very good. You know what I mean? I thought the scorecards were very wide. I don't think Shakur won by the margin that they said. I do think he won, so the right person won. Zepeda's face looked pretty clean. There weren't really many moments where Zepeda looked like ready to go. And that's another bad and ugly for Shakur Stevenson, is more recently, pretty much since the Edwin De Los Santos performance, you got this gung-ho Shakur Stevenson trying to be anti-Tom and Jerry or whatever, show people he's not a runner, and fight back against the what he perceives to be slander on his name. And he's sitting down on his punches. He's putting extra mustard, and the power, simply put, is not there. It's not really there. So the danger is, what happens when you fight guys that have a similar ingredients, but they're the way. So what do I mean similar ingredients? I'm talking about power, athleticism, and throw volume, or explosive guys. Because for me, the way Shakur Stevenson looked, you guys could say he fought like Floyd or whatever. If he fought like an Abdullah Mason, Gervonta Davis, or a Floyd Schofield, those would be exceptionally dangerous fights, especially if you're trying to fight this whole chip on your shoulder. Because again, I like organic. I like authentic. Shakur, to me, wasn't being authentic, and it showed. It showed that here's an example for you guys. Let's say you have a best friend and you work with your best friend. There's a crush that he has, some girl he has a crush on at work. And then your best friend, who you know very well, when he's around this girl, he starts acting different. And you know that's not how he really acts. But he's trying so hard to impress this girl that he's completely acting different and not like himself. If it's your boy, you'll probably call him out. Like, Tony don't act like that. Come on, bro. You trying to act, you trying to impress that girl. You trying to impress this shorty, man. That's the same analogy, is where you know this person and you know that's not how they really act. But when anytime they get around this girl, they start acting a certain way, and it just doesn't look right. That's what this fight kind of reminds me of. Shakur Stevenson, he's not this offensive monster. That is not his bag. He's like post-fight, like, see, I told you I'm a dog. I'm not a poodle. I'm not a puppy. He's trying too hard. You know what I mean? And I think the more you try, the worse you'll be and the worse you'll look. It just so happens that you got away with it with William Zepeda because he was inexperienced and he's pretty one-dimensional, right? But against like the Floyd Schofields and guys like Abdullah Mason, I don't even want to get to Tank, because Tank is like at the top, right? But even Abdullah Mason and Floyd Schofield, you can't. I don't think you're not enough of a seasoned offensive machine like that to be fighting at that type of pace. Again, you were able to do it with Zepeda. He's pretty slow, and he's not like, he kept spamming the same moves over and over and over again. He really wasn't creative. So that's why for me, my breakdown, what really happened, it didn't impress me as much as it impressed certain people. Certain people, you guys are just going for low hanging fruit. And because it was a more fun Shakur fight, you feel satisfied. And you hear me and you're like, oh, you're nitpicking. Come on, he looked good. But you're just going for the low hanging fruit. Shakur Stevenson, again, fell into the trap of trying to please people. You can't be a people pleaser. Fight your style. Because trying to please people, Shakur looked vulnerable in moments. And he had to kind of like pull that back together, which he did in the later half of the fight. That's how I seen it. Like, for example, there was a moment where he was fighting so aggressive that he was trying to like hook off of the jab or something, and his back was against the rope, and Zepeda like caught him with the jab mid, like, and Zepeda's punch landed before, and it rocked Shakur. You know, different people are like, oh, Shakur said he wasn't hurt post fight. It looks bad. You have never seen Floyd Mayweather fight an inexperienced guy like Zepeda, right? Who really hasn't fought anyone, coming off of 2 bad losses or 2 bad performances with Tevin Farmer. And then to see Shakur, who's supposed to be like, I walk on water and I'm untouchable, and he getting clipped and flying back into the ropes. That just doesn't look good. That doesn't look good. And you got boxing fans that are so bogus, boxing fans that are so bunk. When your boy Ego says this stuff, they say, oh, Ego, you're hating. But then Shakur post-fight at the press conference, he said, I probably won't be fighting like that no more because I took a lot of punishment. So he's telling you out of his own mouth that he took more punishment than what was needed trying to please people. So why is it so shocking when Boxing Ego says it? But then the man in question is saying he probably won't keep fighting like that. If everything that I said in this video was a lie, then why doesn't Shakur keep fighting like that? If this is your innate style and naturally how you fight and it's easy for you, then why don't you keep fighting like that? Instead, post-fight, he was like, William Zepeda is a good fighter. He pushed me. I had to get in my bag, right? And that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm grading it harshly to some, is because I expect more from a Shakur Stevenson. You had to get in your bag for a kind of one-dimensional, pretty much flat-footed, aggressive guy. You know what I mean? I don't feel like other top people, like let's say Tank, if he fought Zepeda, he cooking him and he would knock him out. And here's the thing. I think if Shakur were going to hurt Zepeda, it would have probably been better to soften him up and box, and then start stepping on him late in the fight, because then that would have completely switched him up. So I didn't really like Shakur's game plan, to be honest. Fun to watch? Sure. It was definitely more fun because Shakur came out with the chip on his shoulder, but it was also kind of stupid, you know, and it kind of reminded me of the fight earlier on that card, David Morrell. Same thing, you know, for different reasons though. David Morrell was in there with the dude who popped hot and this Russian dude with like almost all knockouts. And then he was like, he wasn't trying to box. He was trying to have a war very early. You know what I mean? And the big difference is David Morrell has definitely power you got to respect. He's a southpaw like Shakur, but he has more pop and he's more aggressive naturally, and he's more of an offensive fighter. So it was a little bit different for David Morrell because he was the bigger person and he normally fights aggressively anyway. You know what I mean? But for Shakur, it just felt like forced. You know what I mean? It felt like you had to do things different.
I want to get back on my boxing, make sure I don't take a lot of punishment in there. So I don't plan on getting hit no more.
So you just heard from Shakur himself. He's not really saying anything different than me. He said, I took a lot of punishment. I got to get back to my boxing. So it's funny that when I've been saying this since the watch party, some people say, oh, Ego, you're hating on Shakur. So Shakur must be hating on himself because he's agreeing with what I'm saying. And to further prove that I know what I'm talking about, not that I have to, but because I'm the best in the business and it's not even close, it comes easy for me. But to prove what I'm talking about, Shakur, what I also noticed is mid to late in the fight, he was breathing heavy and his mouth was open. Normally, I don't really recall Shakur's mouth being open and him looking like winded. But guess what? Zepeda throws a million punches and you were fighting more of his style. So of course, that taxed your gas tank a lot more because you weren't fighting how you normally fight in the way that would keep you safer, but would open up the Tom and Jerry criticism. So for me, I just thought it was a bad strategy to be so concerned with what people are talking about and entertainment value. Because guess what? Let's say Berlanga. He fights in an entertaining fashion, but then he get knocked out by Hamza Shiraz, and then people are making memes about him and laughing. You see what I'm saying? So it's like these fighters can't be so like thin-skinned where you can't accept criticism and you try to alter your fight style and stance into something that's really not you. For example, that would be like Steph Curry is the greatest shooter in history of basketball, right? Steph Curry, the chef. If reporters were getting mad because he's scoring too much points from the free throw line and the 3-point line and from the logo, right? And they're like, oh, this is cheating. This is boring. And then Steph Curry heard all these complaints that he shoot too much and it's like the easy way out or whatever. And then now he starts trying to go up against bigger defenders and centers and dunk on them and then take it to the rack and do more physical gameplay. That is dumb for an athlete like Steph Curry, because I've met Steph Curry. He's not the tallest guy in the NBA. He's not the biggest. He doesn't weigh the most, so he's not the heaviest, right? And he has an amazing touch to make the ball go in from any angle, any point of the arena, right? So why would you, just to lash back out at reporters, why are you going to try to dunk and stuff, mess up your knees? And you also run the risk of injuries and stuff like that because you're forcing the gameplay. Instead of just saying, I don't care what y'all say, I'm going to cook you 3, splash, 3 buckets. You know what I mean? Instead of doing that, you're like, oh, I got to prove a point. I got to let my nuts drop and show you that I could go up against Shaquille O'Neal. I could go up against Zion. I'm not afraid. Like, and when you start doing all that stuff and then you tear your Achilles, you mess up your knee, now you injured, or you get elbowed by one of these big dudes and you got a concussion or something like that, or you pull your groin when you try to do some crazy move. It's just that's the equivalent of Shakur Stevenson trying to placate to dumb fans. Real boxing fans know what it is. Shakur got skills. Shakur don't run. His fights aren't always the most exciting, but you know, you got God-gifted talent. You work on certain things. Power is not really in your forte. Stick to that. That's what I feel. Make your job an easy night. And again, the ugly is, for me, Shakur Stevenson, his power just really didn't show up. Like he was hitting Zepeda with some clean shots, flush. They looked good. They were landing, bow, bow, bow. And then he was moving Zepeda's head but Zepeda was just walking through it like it really didn't affect him. And a lot of people say, oh man, but Tevin Farmer dropped Zepeda, Shakur's gonna stop him, blah, blah, blah. And I told you guys, Tevin Farmer is a different fighter. He's pretty big, he's a southpaw, but he stands his ground a bit more. He's a tough, gritty Philly fighter, right? So it was just different. Shakur Stevenson has to not be himself in order to fight how he did versus Zepeda and show that he's a quote unquote dog. And I don't think that comes natural for him. He's like, that's like me writing with my left hand. I'm sure I can do it. I'm sure I can draw or do something with my left hand, but I'm a right-hander. So realistically, it's not going to come as natural. Like, I watched this video on psychology. I don't want to get too far into it, but they said occasionally brush your teeth with the opposite hand. Whatever your dominant hand is, don't use that. So I was brushing my teeth with my left hand because I'm a right-hander. You see what I'm saying? But the reality is I was doing it to enhance my brain because that's what the neuroscientist said. But it's not natural for me. Do you get what I'm saying? It's not natural for me to use my left hand to brush my teeth when I've always used my right hand. And in the same vein, that's what it is with Shakur Stevenson. I think it worked out for you. You pulled away. But for me, Shakur actually, like at first, I want to say in the early rounds, he started looking sharp. Like he was looking real sharp out the gate, right? And it was like, oh, okay, this is a new Shakur. He's looking surgical, and he was trying to make a statement. So I was like, okay. And I was liking what I was seeing from Shakur because he was just blazing Zepeda. But then Zepeda caught on real quick to that. And really, you were playing into Zepeda's hands by fighting a more treacherous style. And then Zepeda started the punches and bunches thing that he does in every fight. And then that's when he started clipping Shakur and catching Shakur. And for those early to middle rounds, he was making Shakur Stevenson like kind of fight at his level to the point where it was like tooth and nail type of pretty close fight. Where it's like, even if Shakur is winning the round, he was getting touched up. Post fight, I seen Shakur's hand looked all red. His face had a little bit of marking. It's just like none of this stuff is worth it. He was breathing hard in some of the rounds. So to me, to be honest, I think he fell victim to old media, hearing all that criticism, and then he fought in a way that would please them more. But here's the thing about, they don't care about you. Some of these people are racist. They don't like you. They don't want you to do good. And if you would have got slumped like Berlanga, they would have been talking bad about you. So I feel, let people talk, because it's like Floyd Mayweather. Floyd never did this. The crowd started booing, get mad, write bad about him, but he 12-0'd you. So there's only so much you can say. What are you going to say? Oh, Floyd sucks. He skunked somebody again. So for me, I don't care what no crowd is talking about. I'm an online personality. People have said all types of stuff to me. I don't care about none of that. That don't really. So you got to be real secure, real man style. You feel what I'm saying? To just be able to like not listen to the noise and the maddening crowd. Because again, I'm trying to tell these fighters how it works. If Shakur, I mean, he already got stumbly in the third round. But if it got worse than that or kept happening, they would have did you like Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia and been like, aha, and you would have been a meme. So I don't advise the fighters keep doing this stuff to try to, prove a point, like a pissing contest. And for me, outside of the first couple of rounds where he was getting off on Zepeda and Zepeda wasn't really touching him as much, I feel like Shakur did a lot better when he started getting tired. Trust me, he looked tired. So he started punching on Zepeda and bop, bop, bop. And then he would walk a lap, or then he would like skip a lap. and then he would like pick his shots, and then he was like more settled into the fight. And in those later rounds, that's when Shakur looked the best, because there were some moments where he hit Zepeda with like 3 to 5 punches, like ba 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 ba, and had Zepeda's head going crazy. And Zepeda was tired by this point too, and Zepeda couldn't keep up with that. So when Shakur fought the right fight late in the fight, I feel like that's when he did his best work, and his best work where Zepeda couldn't answer it. That's the difference. That's why I'm grading Shakur harshly on this one, because early on, yeah, it was more entertaining, but you were also getting touched up. Your plus and minus messed up, and you were getting hit, and you even like got pushed back. And you know, people are, oh, he showed heart. That's cool. Journeymen show heart. Shakur's supposed to be a top talent. He's a US Olympian. Just fight your fight, bro. That's what I truly believe. Fight your fight. You keep trying to placate to these people, and it could get bad. If that was Tank or Floyd Schofield or something like that, or Abdullah Mason, I think it would have got bad, because that's not who you are. And I think when you start fighting, especially those black athletic power punchers, it's a different ball game. You're not going to be able to get away with stuff that is like Floyd Schofield looked quick versus Tevin Farmer. He looked quick, and I believe he's a switch hitter. Zepeda looks slow, and again, Zepeda, to me, I look at what you're in there with. Zepeda was spamming the same move the whole fight on repeat, so it wasn't like these creative, like it was just like basic stuff Zepeda was doing. It was just a lot of it, if that makes sense, right? But it wasn't like Zepeda was doing this crazy David Benavidez level creative punching where it's like, oh, he disguised that punch so cleverly. Where did that come from? He wasn't doing nothing like that. Zepeda was just in there, heart, will, power, and volume. And he gave Shakur a very tough fight. So hopefully Shakur got it out of his system. Let me know in the comments what letter grade you give Shakur, but it's just not the type of performance you want to keep having, because some people are even saying Zepeda won. I don't believe that myself, but it shouldn't be that. And that's the other thing is he constantly talks about this and that and says he could beat Pacquiao in his prime. He said he would beat Floyd Mayweather. That performance against Zepeda doesn't make me believe you would beat prime Canelo, like you said, if you were the same size, or Pacquiao, if you're going in your bag for a Zepeda. You know what I mean? And then when I look at true, like Andre Ward's, Terrence Crawford's, and Floyd Mayweather, De La Hoya, I feel like they would never struggle with a basic, tough volume guy with not that much experience and not that creative. So to see Shakur struggle, and I think part of it is he doesn't have the pop. If Shakur had more power, then it'd be different, because Zepeda would probably get gun shy. But I think that lack of pop at 135 makes it more of a challenge for Shakur. Either way, give Shakur a school letter grade. Let me know what you guys think and what you rate his performance. I thought he did very good in spots, very sharp and surgical in spots, but then there were also moments where I thought he fought and kind of dumbed it down to the point where you got this guy hanging with you when I don't think he really should be hanging with you. You know what I mean? So I never rated Zepeda like that. So I felt like he kind of fought down to the competition, and you're supposed to be superior than that, man. You're supposed to be, I feel like ring IQ, part of it is strategy and fighting the right fight and knowing the right thing to do. And guys like Andre Ward and Floyd Mayweather, they never, ever derive from a working game plan. And I feel like when you truly stick to yourself, to your game plan, that's when it yields the best results and you can get the stoppages. Because Zepeda, if you fought him the regular way, you were pot shotting him and boxing and frustrating him, he might just start getting lazy and coming forward because he can't catch you. And then that's when you hit him with the shot he don't see coming and get a knockdown. But when you're fighting his fight, it benefits him. And it's just so you can say, hey, look at me, I'm a dog too. I don't like it. So I think Shakur need to get that out of his system and, you know, go back to being who you are. I'm always going to say that, and I'm going to keep saying that. Be who you are. If you lack power, then, you know, outpoint guys or whatever you got to do. But definitely don't water down what you got going for the crowd. And that's what really happened. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that. If you're new to YouTube and you're struggling to get views, one tool I can provide to you is TubeBuddy. I've been on YouTube over 10 years. I use TubeBuddy daily to crank out videos just like this one that you're watching. Learn how the pros do it with TubeBuddy. YouTube receives a lot of traffic, which also means a lot of creators, a lot of people putting out content. So you need to learn the ropes so you know how to separate yourself, especially if you're new. But even if you're a pro, use TubeBuddy. The link is in the description. Get more views, more subscribers, and a higher click-through rate, so ultimately you can realize all of your online goals. Use my affiliate link in the description and grow your channel fast.